What's good, YouTube? MLB Updates 365 here, back with another video. Today we're going to be breaking down every single MLB team and give our thoughts on what they should do at the MLB trade deadline. Should they be a buyer, seller, or just stay put? We're going to break it down and give our thoughts. So if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And if you enjoyed today's video, leave a like. Let's get right into it. Starting it off with the New York Mets, 47-40, first place in the NL East. Very good team. The biggest problem with them, though, has just been the offense. They're currently averaging the second fewest runs in all of baseball per 9 innings. Big part of that, though, has just been injuries. Guys like Jeff McNeil, Michael Conforto, Brandon Nimmo, list goes on and on, have all seen a lot of time in the IL. To me, I don't think they're going to make a big splash. Maybe another starter at the back end of the rotation. I don't see a Chris Bryant on their future or in the horizon. Maybe an Eduardo Escobar type of guy from the Arizona Diamondbacks. Second place team is the Philadelphia Phillies. They're 44-44, playing some of their best baseball in their last 10 games, really. The biggest problem with them, though, is just the back end of the bullpen. They already have 21 blown saves this season. To me, Craig Kimbrell makes a ton of sense to them. Even a guy like Ricardo Rodriguez or Ian Kennedy, but they definitely got to upgrade the bullpen in some way or form. Third place team is the Atlanta Braves. They're now 44-45. With Ronald Acuna Jr. now out for the year, I don't see them making the playoffs or even competing. You can't lose a top 5 player in baseball and just expect to compete, especially with the way their bullpen has been and the starting rotation. They've just been decimated by injuries all season long, so I have them staying put. Similar to the Atlanta Braves, I had the Washington Nationals staying put as well. They were crazy hot in the month of June with Kyle Schwarber looking like the next Babe Ruth. Then he went down with the injury. Now they're 2-8 in their last 10 games. Now sitting at 42-48. I just had them staying put. I don't think they're going to trade Max Scherzer either. So I don't think they'll be sellers. And I definitely don't think they have the pieces or, guys on their team to compete and look into the buying as a trade option. Fifth place team is the Miami Marlins. They're now 39-50. They have a trade piece in Starling Marte, but they already said they're trying to extend him. And a rumor has been put out there that they already have a contract on the table. Who knows if they'll accept it? But with that being said, I think they're just going to stay put, continue to build for the future, because this Miami team is very young and looks very, very good. First place in the American League East is the Boston Red Sox. They have 55 wins, tied for the most in American League. This is a very solid team all around, but the biggest problem is the back end of their starting rotation. You have guys like Martin Perez and Garrett Richards. If you want to compete in the playoffs, you can't have those two. Chris Sale coming back is going to be a huge boost, but to me, Danny Duffy, the Kansas City Royals, makes a ton of sense. He was hurt for, a couple weeks there, but he's made 3 starts since. He looks really healthy. He'd be a rental, and he probably won't cost too much. Second place team in the American League East is the Tampa Bay Rays. They're now 53-37, having another good season. Jose Barrios, to me, is the guy that they got to go after for. Just makes too much sense. Tampa Bay has a great farm system, and they're a low payroll team. Jose Barrios is under contract for a while on a cheap deal, and like I said, Tampa Bay could definitely entice Minnesota with the prospects that they have. Third place team in the American League East is the Toronto Blue Jays. They're now 46-42. This team can just hit the ball, especially with George Springer coming back. They have the second best offense in baseball. Biggest problem with them, though, has just been the bullpen. They've already been linked to Ricardo Rodriguez. I think that makes a ton of sense, and I probably would predict that he ends up going to Toronto. But if not, I could see them upgrading the starting rotation as well. Fourth place team is the Yankees. Yankees and the word sellers just don't coincide with one another, but I don't have them as buyers either. I just don't think this team is that good. I had them at staying put. Perfect example on Sunday. They're up 5 runs entering the 9th inning, going for the series sweep against the Houston Astros. What do? They blow the game. A good team would not blow that game. So I had them just staying put. I think they're going to let the season ride out, and if they miss the playoffs or don't go far in the playoffs, the major changes will come during the 2021-22 offseason. Last place team in the American League East, is the Baltimore Orioles. This team is very bad, but I just don't know who they will trade. They have guys like Maikel Franco and Freddie Galvis. Probably not going to get much, but to me, Trey Mancini is definitely a guy that could bring in a good prospect or two if they're willing to trade him. And speaking of the Trey Mancini, I think the Milwaukee Brewers would be a perfect fit for Trey Mancini. I had them as buyers. They're top place right now, or first place, in the National League Central. The best team in baseball since May 22nd, record-wise, after acquiring Willy Adames. The first base position has been pretty bad with Daniel Vogelbach. They just required Rowdy Tellez, but he's nothing special. Trey Mancini would be a game changer for them. They currently have the 16th ranked offense in baseball. With that rotation and that bullpen, adding Mancini to that lineup, they might be the National League favorites. Second place team in the National League Central rather is the Cincinnati Reds. They're probably baseball's hottest team right now. They're 8-2 in their last 10, now 48-42. The offense is really good. The starting rotation is pretty solid. Bullpen has just been a major issue. A guy like Daniel Hudson to me would be a great fit. He's a veteran guy, playoff experience, cheap guy because he's a free agent after the season. Acquiring him from Washington would make a ton of sense for me. I have Cincinnati in the market for a relief arm. Third place in the National League Central is the St. Louis Cardinals. They're 44-44. I've been saying all along, I just think this team is average. The offense is not good at all. They're 27th in baseball in runs scored. The starting rotation was pretty solid, but then Jack Flaherty went down, and ever since they just haven't been, doing the job. And then the bullpen at the back end is good with Reyes and Gallegos, but other than that, isn't that good. I think they're just going to stay put, let this season ride out. Maybe they'll look into Trevor Story during the offseason. 44-46 are the Chicago Cubs. They're fourth place in the NL Central. I've been saying all along they should be sellers, even though they went on a crazy, streak in June. They ended up losing 12 games. They're now 2 games under 500. They got to sell. They have too many guys that are on one-year deal or contract years. Craig Kimbrell, Jock Peterson, Javier Baez, Anthony Rizzo, Zach Davies. The list goes on and on. I think they're at least going to trade Kimbrell, Davies, and Peterson. And who knows if they put Brian out there on the market because he could bring in a nice return. Last but not least is the Pittsburgh Pirates. This team is just pretty bad, but they do have a few guys that could bring in a nice haul. Adam Frazier is one. Ricardo Rodriguez is another. They have a few other guys, but to me, those two are most likely to be dealt. And the Pirates are just going to be sellers, and they're just bad, and they're continuing to build for the future. Moving on over to the American League Central, we had the first place team in the Chicago White Sox. They have 54 wins, and it's just pretty magnificent to see what they've been doing. The bullpen has been great. The rotation has been good. But the offense has really stepped up as well with guys like Eloy Jimenez, Luis Robert, and now Nick Madrigal now out for the season. Adam Frazier is just a name I mentioned with the Pirates. He's the starting second baseman in the NL All-Star game. I think he'd be a perfect fit for the White Sox. He's under contract for a few more seasons, can fill in at second base, play the corner outfield position, and he's a leadoff hitter. That's what Chicago needs now with Madrigal out. And he just seems like the Tony La Russa type of guy. Second place in the American League Central is the Cleveland Indians. They're 45-42. I want to put them at buyers because I really think this team is good, and when healthy, they could compete for a wild card. But this team has just been, brutally hurt by injuries. Their top 3 starters, Zach Plesac, Shane Bieber, and Aaron Civale, are all hurt right now. But with the way Cleveland is kind of ran, they've been trading some of their all-star players recently. So I don't really see them being in the buyers market, but I just think this team is too good to be sellers. Third place in the American League Central is the Detroit Tigers. I had them as sellers, but I don't know if they'll end up going to be sellers. They have guys like Jonathan Scope, who's on a 1-year deal. He's having a really good year. Did they try to extend him or sell him when his value is high? Another guy is Matthew Boyd. He's hurt right now, but he was having a career year before he went down with an injury. He's supposedly coming back after the All-Star break. If he can make 1 or 2 starts and show he is healthy, does Detroit, pull the trigger on him and get a good prospect or two? We'll have to wait and see, but I have them as sellers as of now. Fourth place in the American League Central is the Kansas City Royals. This team is just really bad. They just haven't had a good year. I mean, they have a few guys that they could trade. I mentioned Danny Duffy before. Maybe they look into trading Whit Merrifield, even Hunter Dozier, although they extended him. I had them as sellers. I just don't know who they're going to be trading. Last but not least, we had the Minnesota Twins. This has probably been the most disappointing team in 2021, in my opinion. They have so many guys that they could trade. Nelson Cruz, Jose Barrios, Michael Pineda, Alex Colomé, Josh Donaldson. List goes on and on. But to me, the 2 guys that are most likely to be traded are Nelson Cruz, since he's a free agent after the season, and Michael Pineda. There's definitely a need out there for some starting pitchers, and he was having a good season before his last start, and his ERA jumped over 4. First place in the National League West and shifting over to that division is the San Francisco Giants, who have the best record in baseball, the most wins at 56. This team has just been great all around. They have the 6th best offense, and they have the 2nd best ERA combined with the bullpen and starting rotation. To me, I think they should go out and get a closer, though. Craig Kimbrell would be an ideal fit for them. That back end of the bullpen with Taylor Rogers and Craig Kimbrell, man, I would not want to see that in the postseason. But yeah, I had them as buyers and in the relief market. Second place in the National League West is the Dodgers. They're finally getting healthy. This team is looking like the team from last year. I personally have them in the market for a starting pitcher. We have no idea what's going to happen with Trevor Bauer and, his availability for the rest of the season, rather. Clayton Kershaw was just placed on the 10-day IL with elbow inflammation. I think they got to get some depth in there. They got to add another starter. Michael Pineda makes a ton of sense. Maybe even a guy like Kyle Gibson from the Texas Rangers. But their bullpen has been great. The offense is finally getting back and healthy. They're just going to let those guys come back in the swing of things. I think they got to upgrade the rotation. San Diego Padres are third in the National League West. I think they're going to be buyers as well. They're currently holding the second NL wildcard spot. This team is really good. I just don't know where they are going to look to upgrade. Maybe they'll look into the closer situation since Mark Melancon has been struggling a lot recently, but they have some internal options in Tim Hill where they could put him in the ninth. But to me, Joey Gallo is the name to watch out for. AJ Preller has familiarity with him going back to his days in Texas. He's been on fire recently entering the All-Star break. Maybe they'll look into Gallo as he is very versatile and on a cheap deal and under control for a few more seasons. Fourth in the NL West is the Colorado Rockies. They're going to be sellers. I just don't know who they're going to trade. They already said they're not going to trade German Marquez. They should trade Trevor Story, but now in Colorado, they'll probably make the dumb decision here and just keep him in hopes of extending him. But they have a few other guys that could be trade options at the deadline. But to me, they're going to be sellers. The team isn't competing now or for the next couple of seasons. Last but not least are the Arizona Diamondbacks. As of today, the worst team in Major League Baseball, 26-66, 30 games back in the divisions. They have a few guys that could be traded at the deadline. Eduardo Escobar, Joaquin Soria, Asdrubal Cabrera, all veteran types of guys. They're not going to get a crazy prospect, but definitely for Arizona to keep rebuilding, they could get a good prospect or two, low level. Shifting over to our final division, that's the American League West. We have, starting it off, the Houston Astros, who are tied with the Boston Red Sox for the best record in baseball with 55 wins. This team has been really good. Cheating aside, asterisks aside, trash cans, whatever you guys want to say, you got to admit this Astros team is really good. The offense has been great. The rotation has been good. We'll see if Justin Verlander comes back. But to me, they got to upgrade the back end of the bullpen. Craig Kimbrell, I already know I said his name like 3 times with teams. But to me, he'd be an ideal fit with Houston. Who knows what will happen, but I think they got to look in the closer market. Second place in the American League West is the Oakland Athletics. They're going to be buyers. I think Trevor Story just makes too much sense with them. Elvis Andrus has been abysmal at shortstop. Trevor Story won't cost that much since he's a free agent after the season. It kind of reminds me of what they did back in 2014 with John Lester. They acquired him from the Boston Red Sox at the deadline, just knowing they weren't going to sign him, but going down the stretch run and into the postseason, I think Trevor Story would be a great fit for Oakland. And imagine an infield of Matt Olson, Story, and Matt Chapman. Pretty lethal. Third place in the American League West is the Seattle Mariners. I don't know what to put them at, to be honest with you, because I feel like if they lose a couple games, they'll turn into sellers. They have some valuable trade assets and possibly like Mitch Haniger, but they've been playing really good baseball right now. They're 48-42. This bullpen has been amazing. I just don't know what's going to happen with them. I feel like it's too early to tell. I feel like the next week or two is going to decide with them. Most teams I like on this list, I feel I have a good grasp of what they're going to do. The Seattle Mariners are not one of them. Fourth place in the American League West is the Los Angeles Angels. They're now 45-44, 1 game over 500, and for them, that's got to be a win when their best player, Mike Trout, has been out for the last 6 weeks. We all know what they got to upgrade, though. That's the starting rotation. Will they finally do it? I think Kyle Gibson, a divisional opponent from the Texas Rangers, would make a ton of sense for them. He's a free agent, not this season, but next season. He's only owed $8 million, so he's under control for another season, and he's having a phenomenal year. 6 wins, ERA under 2.30. The Angels, like I said, are 1 game under 500 or over 500. I feel like they got to go all in the rotation because guys like Dylan Bundy and Griffin Cannon, who they expected to be in there, are now in AAA. Last but not least, we have the American League in the American League West, and the last team on this list is the Texas Rangers. This team is very bad, and they will be sellers, but they do have some valuable trade options. Kyle Gibson, I already mentioned, Joey Gallo, and Ian Kennedy. All 3 of those will definitely bring in a nice return. Gallo probably bringing in the highest, but I think he's the least likely to go. Ian Kennedy is the most likely to be traded since he's a free agent after the season. But Kyle Gibson, too, would bring in a nice return. I just don't know what Texas is going to do with him, but I predict one of them will be traded, so therefore they'll be sellers. That is going to wrap up the video. Let me know down below if you agree or disagree what I had to say about your favorite MLB team. Will they be a buyer? Will they be a seller? I'd love to hear what you guys have to say down below. If you haven't already, make sure to check out the Instagram and TikTok. Link is down in the description. MLB Updates 365 on all platforms. So definitely hit that follow if you haven't already. Hope you guys have a good rest of your day, though, and I'll see you in the next video.